Hello everyone, it's me, Sarah, and today I'm going to tell you how to get past your first draft. Am I telling you as an authority on the subject? Am I saying that if you do not follow my tips exactly that you are going to suffer with an unfinished first draft for the rest of your life? No. I am telling you, advising you, sharing with you, as someone who has finished writing 7 books in 7 years. Should I be revising these instead of writing more first drafts? Probably. But that's not what we're going to talk about right now. This is technically a writing advice video, so here is my disclaimer. This is from my experience and nothing more. You have absolutely no obligation to do anything that I'm about to say, but these are the tricks and tips that I have learned that work for me and that work for a wide number of people that I know within the writing community. And you know what? Maybe, just maybe, it's going to help you too. The first draft, as we know, is every writer's first, biggest challenge that they will ever have to overcome. That challenge quickly changes the second you finish the first draft, but we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. I know a lot of writers, they've been writing first drafts for years and they still struggle with the first draft because it's dumb and stupid and it's difficult. You need the hard work, you need the dedication, you need the drive and the want to get this first draft down onto paper so you can then continue on with the rest of the writing journey, which is just as stupid and dumb and difficult, but you know, we'll get to that later. The first thing you need to do when you're trying to write your first draft, forget quality. You are a trash panda and your first draft is the trash. Love it. Honour it, wallow in it. The first draft is for getting everything down, not for getting everything right. And that is a common misconception that a lot of writers, especially new writers, can have. It's not just one draft and you're done. Believe me. With the first draft, the most important thing that I have learned is that forget the quality. Forget if it sounds good. Forget if it makes sense. All of the thoughts and ideas and scenes that you have in your head, get them down onto the damn page. Doesn't matter what they sound like, doesn't matter what it looks like, doesn't matter about all the grammatical errors, or the spelling mistakes, or the inconsistencies. It doesn't matter that your character has sat down 5 times in one paragraph without ever having gotten back up first. Ignore it all, get it down, first draft done. I say that, it's not as easy as that. What I had to learn and what I think a lot of writers need to learn and understand is your first draft is not going to be perfect. The second thing that you should do when writing your first draft is to plan ahead. Your head is probably full of tons of ideas that you want for your book, for your characters, for the series that you're inevitably going to start planning, even though you really don't want to. And planning ahead is a fantastic way to get all of those ideas down, stay ahead of where you are so you know exactly where you're going to go next. Now this can work for pantsers, it can work for planters, it can work for planners. I say it can work for planners. Planners, you've probably already planned ahead right to the very end and the next 7 books in the series. But what I like to do is make notes on what's coming next in the scene, what needs to come next for the characters, what needs to come next for the plot. So if I have to stop writing, I know what I'm planning to do next, or I know what I want to do next. I'll always have another idea right there waiting for me so I don't flounder and lose my inspiration. The next thing you should do is skip around. But do not write chronologically, especially if you feel yourself struggling. I say especially if you feel yourself struggling. Don't write chronologically if you feel yourself struggling. A lot of writers out there writing chronologically is absolutely perfectly fine for them and they have no trouble with it. I know a lot of writers can sort of struggle with inspiration, they can feel bored with what they're writing, they can sort of lose that motivation they've got for their first draft because they're not writing anything interesting. Skip the boring bits. Skip the bits you are finding difficult to write or to get down. Write the ending first, write a scene in the middle first, write some random dialogue between your characters, write the bits that excite you. Keep your motivation and inspiration for your first draft going for as long as you possibly can, because it's one thing to want to write a book, but it's another thing to start writing and sort of lose that traction and lose inspiration for what you wanted to write in the first place. And that can happen a lot with writers. You just don't want to write it anymore and you fall out of love with your book. Avoid that by writing whatever scene at whatever point in the novel you want, and keep yourself excited about what you're writing. The next thing you should do is ignore the rules. Look, a first draft doesn't care if you're not showing instead of telling, and neither should you. All of those rules that you read about on Tumblr, on the internet, that you see on YouTube, forget about them. They do not matter for the first draft. Trying to follow all of these rules when you're just starting to get all of your ideas down is going to mess you up, and it's going to cause you to doubt yourself and your writing ability because you are not following the rules. The rules, I say rules loosely, comes later, okay? With writing a first draft, there are no rules, believe me. The next thing you need to remember to do when writing your first draft is to stay motivated, and how you do this is completely up to you as a person, as a writer. Every writer has their own way of staying motivated, of staying productive enough to finish their first draft. Sometimes the want, the need, the drive, the goal, the dream is not enough. So make sure you eat, make sure you sleep, make sure you drink, make sure you get up and take breaks during your writing sessions, make sure you exercise, etc, 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 blah blah blah. Discussing your novel with friends, whether they are fellow writer friends or just any friends that you have, or family members, or anybody who can take an interest, is a fantastic way to stay motivated. Often, more times than not, talking about your novel gives you tons and tons of ideas, especially if you're bouncing those ideas off of someone else. So there is no end to what you can do to stay motivated. You just need to do what you can to keep that spark of motivation alive to finish writing this novel, because the beginning is easy. When you hit the middle's going to kill you, and then you'll be revived by the end. Keep your motivation going for that middle section because you are going to need it. Do not give up. The last thing that you should do in order to write your first draft is to stick to a schedule. Now, I'm not saying that you need to perfectly rigidly stick to a schedule for your entire life, for your entire day. I'm not saying that. Even I don't have a set writing routine. I have 4 kids. I write whenever the hell I have the time. But when I say that I'm going to write and I have time in my day to write, I do nothing in that time but write. Schedule your time on a day-by-day basis if you need to, if you're able to, if you're bothered to. If you are serious about getting this first draft done, if you're serious about writing, you will find the time to do it. No matter what is going on in your life, no matter how busy you are, if you want to write, you will make the time. I say that really badly. You will always have time in the day. You just need to find it, you just need to utilize it, you just need to focus during that time. Make the most of the time you have and get it done. Yes. Now, like I said at the beginning of this video, these things might work for you. These are the things that I have done over the past 8 years in order to get my first drafts done. For me, they are tried and tested methods that work. And best of all, I can make them fit around me, my life and my schedule if I need to. Just remember that there is no one way to write. Every writer is different. Every writer has a different process. And everything on this list might not work for you particularly. You might hate the thought of not focusing on quality while you write your first draft. You might not be able to handle seeing badly written work, and that's okay, that's you. But take it from someone who's been writing since they were 15 years old. That's me. That's more than half my life. Your first draft does in no way tell you what type of writer you are. Your first draft does not in any way show you how skilled you are as a writer. Take anyone's first draft. Someone who's been writing for 15 years, someone who's been writing for 10, published authors. Looking at their first drafts, we're all the same. Your first draft is trash. You need to get it written in order to make magic out of it. Don't be afraid to explore, to really go wild, to write the worst you have ever written, because the first hurdle is to get it down, to get it written, to get it on the page. And all the painstaking work to turn the trash into the piece of artwork that people love so much, that comes after you've done all of the hard work. So don't give up. Don't lose hope. Don't compare your writing to other people's, because that's just going to bring you down even more. And have fun, because if you can't have fun writing your first draft, I don't know where I was going to go with that. So that's all from me from this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Good thoughts and happy writing.